the basketball community is seeing what may be the most bizarre and perplexing endorsement arrangement in recent history. Keep releasing highlight reels, Angel Reese. It's the kind that makes pundits reach for the mute button rather than the replay, not the kind you save for the season recap. Once again, Chicago Bravado got their ass kicked. Insiders are whispering, could this be the priciest misfire since somebody thought bringing back the XFL was a good idea? Because her enormous Reebok signature sneaker is scheduled for release in 2026. Last night, Angel Reese was awful. The game's commentators were giggling at her performance. Take a look at some of the highlights for yourself. You always do this, Casey. You try to convince us that Angel Reese isn't a superstar by highlighting a few poor plays. Stacka keepers nationwide brace themselves and avoid excitement whenever Reese hits the floor. She's shot 31 in her sophomore season, which is so puzzling that it's practically an art form. 5% on layups and the third highest number of layups in the league. Take a moment to process the information. The 6 feet 3 inches professional athlete in question is missing shots that high school JV players take while they sleep. The arithmetic itself is incomprehensible. How do you make it appear like a coin toss even if you're this close to the hoop? You know, Angel Reese face up. Well, let's get started. Oh, pause. Prepare. Transition. Oh no. Oh, but we got our own rebound after crossing over to the rack. Lovely. We grabbed an offensive rebound of our own. Once more, here we go. There is a small amount of journey activity. We missed another, too. Don't worry, though. We managed to collect our second rebound. Let me quickly adjust my posture. Talk my ish. You are unable to protect me. You are unable to protect me. Make a forward motion. And the best illustration came from a game versus the New York Liberty. In under 12 seconds, there were 4 consecutive failed putbacks. She was immediately swatted back by 2 of them. It wasn't just the video that went viral. It became a living, breathing example of how to transform a simple basketball play into inadvertent humor after going viral online. Yes, she has a respectable 44% season field goal percentage. For percent. However, when you consider that the majority of her shots land directly at the rim, that number loses much of its luster. The worst part is still to come. Layups are typically completed by pros at a 70 to 80% speed. Reese has somehow been able to turn the game's simplest, most basic shot into a 50-50 wager. How a player this tall can be so unpredictable under the basket is another question that fans have. It's not even the statistics that show how bad Angel Reese's shooting has gotten. It may be heard in the voices of those who are paid to make every play sound like a big hit. The Chicago Sky and Angel Reese were just beaten by the Washington Mystics. Out there, Sonia Citron was using hot grease to cook. Give the pot a stir. Give the pot a stir. Sonia, keep cooking. What a show. In front of Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky, she gave it her all. They really did damage Angel Reese's. Even a simple free throw may be transformed into a shot that is heard all around the world by NBA and WNBA analysts. However, those same voices abruptly begin to struggle to keep it together as Reese approaches the edge, and occasionally they lose the fight. One announcer couldn't even conceal it after another puzzling mistake on a layup that should have been a simple one in a recent game. Live on the air, he laughed. Furthermore, this wasn't the light-hearted jab you hear following an uncommon miss. This was the sound of professional frustration mingled with real disbelief. When your efforts are ridiculed by those who are supposed to promote your greatness. Math-wise, you ventured into an area that most athletes never even consider. However, it appears that Angel Reese wins 1 game out of every 3. As far as I can recall, this season, Angel Reese has defeated a squad that has a winning record. Tell me about Angel Reese's impact, please. It has given the internet a field day. Her missed layups have spawned a new sports content niche. Millions of views, with admirers extending every awkward moment with slow-motion replays, freeze frames, and circus music. Sneakers aren't being taken off the shelves by this kind of viral moment. This is the type that causes the marketing team at Reebok to look up at the ceiling at 3 in the morning. Questioning where all went wrong. The worst part is still to come. If her team was stacking wins, perhaps this could all go unnoticed. However, the Chicago Sky are ranked 721 and play a style of basketball that gives certain rec league teams a sophisticated appearance. It's more than simply a personal lull for Reese. It's the star of a season-long battle that has executives and fans scratching their heads. The Chicago Sky have lost 8 straight games. This is where the storyline changes. Due to Reese's recent back ailment, they have lost all 5 of their games without her. The contradiction is that, with her, they can't win. But without her, they're worse somehow. It's like complaining about a broken air conditioner when your entire house is on fire. In order to expand Reebok and get people to wear it again, since nobody does, they want to hire talent. Thus, his decision to sign Angel Reese was one of his brilliant moves. In case you are unaware, she is the queen of like fish out of water, attempting to get into the net with a rebound that she fired herself. She makes me think of a 3-year-old shooting on those tiny children's nets, throwing the ball and missing it entirely. Coach Tyler Marsh has made every effort to view it positively. However, the truth cannot be concealed by even the most well-crafted post-game statements. The player whose most constant highlight is unintentionally boosting blooper reels was the foundation of this roster. When your star is most known for missing shots, a middle school kid wearing a blindfold could bank in. Talk about championships doesn't simply diminish. It vanishes. However, Reebok has now joined the Angel Reese Resurrection Initiative. With a 2026 signature shoe locked, she became their first big basketball signing in years under Shaquille O'Neal's direction. It looked like the perfect risk on paper. Young talent with a sizable fan base online and the ability to advance into the function. However, when reality sets in, paper promises have a terrible way of becoming origami catastrophes. Todd Krinsky, the CEO of Reebok, even likened Reese to Allen Iverson and Shaquille O'Neal, stating that she possesses the same capacity to change culture. We return after the All-Star break with 9 turnovers. Due of a back injury, we sit out. We return, unable to make a layup that is essentially sound. Perhaps they hurried you back from your wounds. Did you hurry her recovery from her injury, Tyler Marsh? Tyler. I am searching Tyler Marsh. Here's where it becomes awkward, though. AI and Shaq were more than just cultural icons. They were powerful forces on the court. That's still lacking with Ree. Furthermore, the comparison becomes less motivating and more like, what were you thinking? The more misses accumulate. Industry insiders are beginning to question whether Reebok truly understood what they were getting into. You are not merely purchasing an athlete's gift when you designate them as the face of your company. You're placing a wager on their future course. Additionally, Reese's trajectory appears to be a straight line onto the rim's bottom, after which the ball bounces futilely into the seats. Ironically, Reese's current back issue has been the most forgiving development in this ongoing hoop soap play, keeping her out for several games. Although injuries are never a cause for celebration, her absence has provided a respite from the weekly parade of basic basketball errors. Couldn't have come at a better time. The basketball world was taking a breather from seeing a professional struggle with shots that most fans drain at the local gym when it happened, as her missed layup highlight reels were reaching their maximum viral saturation online. I enjoyed my time at school. I'm not going to follow folks who are acquaintances rather than friends. Am I right? I'm not going to do it to you so you don't have to. However, occasionally I would be viewing their page and think, dude, you are. I'm fortunate since I was on the verge of unfollowing you. Again, though, I'm not a celebrity, therefore I won't do it. However, I'm secretly planning to unfollow me in order to say something like, bitch, I don't even with you like that. For real, for real. I also frequently want to unfollow individuals because many of them don't even post. This injury hiatus has been a gift packaged in ice packs for the marketing team at Reebok. They've saved valuable time by figuring out how to market a shoe tied to a player whose misses are the most repeated moments. The time becomes much more enticing. It prevented her from playing against the Indiana Fever, who are led by Caitlin Clark, a former collegiate rival of hers. Successfully brought her superstar persona into the professional ranks with a commensurate level of production. We avoided what might have been the greatest unfair individual battle since David and Goliath's encounter because of that absence. What if Goliath had been holding a basketball and David had been blindfolded? From a commercial perspective, the Angel Reese experiment is becoming a tutorial in how a high-profile endorsement may backfire in the face of public scrutiny, rather than brand promotion. Reebok has made a significant financial investment in a player whose performance on the court contradicts the fundamental principles of sports endorsements. The notion that buyers are motivated by winning. It's an easy formula. Achievement sells. Because they aspire to be like Mike, fans put on Jordans. They channel that championship aura by wearing LeBron's apparel. However, how would you market Angel Reese's iconic shoe? Miss Layup resembles your favorite professional. By capitalizing on Reese's unrepentant demeanor and online influence, the brand has attempted to reframe it and market her as a cultural icon rather than a dominant force in basketball. That might work for a lifestyle brand, but it's problematic for basketball performance gear. Marsh has this point-forward thing on, and the player on the box keeps demonstrating that basketball basics are important, so you can't tell hoopers that wearing these sneakers will improve their game lock. It appears that Elizabeth Williams will be the recipient. And oh God, not required. Furthermore, Reese's teammates don't seem to hide her shortcomings. The Chicago Sky roster, if anything, makes them very evident. The offense frequently pushes her into difficult shots she's not hitting rather than setting up simple scoring looks that could help cover up her inconsistent finishing. Tyler Marsh and a first-time head coach make the problem more difficult than anyone anticipated. His challenge: create a winning strategy centered on a player whose most consistent production consists of viral social media videos. Similar like receiving a fast sports car and discovering it is being instructed to win the Indianapolis 500 and has square wheels. Perhaps the most significant aspect of this story is that, despite Reese's injuries, the Sky managed to appear even more disoriented, demonstrating that it involves more than just one participant. The franchise is experiencing a complete identity crisis. A story that is both embarrassing and illuminating is revealed by some of the Sky data. Even while the losses continue to mount, several offensive stats have actually improved in games without Reese. Translation: although her rebounding numbers may appear impressive on paper, her overall influence may be subtly degrading the team's performance. It's the kind of frustrating dichotomy that makes GMs silent and coaches take antacids, revising their resumes. Here's the twist, though. In the social media-driven sports world of today, failure can occasionally yield greater financial gain than triumph. Millions of people have watched Reese's missed layups. Her dubious shot selections lead to countless memes, and her general "what was that?" moments have turned into a treasure trove for sports commentators. Despite her poor shooting, she had a nice game with 22 points and 13 rebounds. She received numerous bailouts. I'm getting phantom foul calls from the referees and throwing up brick layups. It's excellent that she made 10 out of 11 free throws. 6 of 16 from the floor is really bad. Everybody. Of 1 out of 3. She had a -11. Listen, man. Kiki's area Fong got the job. It's produced an odd, almost twisted incentive system that rewards poor athletic performance with clicks, influence, and unceasing attention. Regardless of the box score, Reese has slipped into the role of basketball's equivalent of a reality TV celebrity, famous for being famous. And that's both exciting and risky for Reebok. Do you give a player who attracts a lot of attention more attention, even if it's mostly bad? The issue is that failure-based viral celebrity burns and fades more quickly. One day, you'll be the most popular inadvertent comic on the internet. Next, a new blooper has been introduced to the audience. Real, and you're stuck with sponsorship deals that no one wants to work with. That's the difference between being worth remembering and being memorable. Furthermore, the suspense is unavoidable as Reese's signature shoe's 2026 release draws nearer. Reebok has already invested heavily, provided preview images, and activated its hype machine in the hopes that this will be a moment of cultural change. However, if the laughter continues, the culture may change drastically. Culture has the ability to define itself, and basketball uncertainty is the dominant culture around Angel Reese at the moment. The rumors within the industry are becoming louder. According to some sources, Reebok may change course and abandon the notion of a basketball performance shoe and instead launching her signature line into the lifestyle market. tactfully acknowledging that the connection between Ree and in-court success is tenuous, at most. Nevertheless, there is a guy on TikTok that makes me laugh. He has assembled a number of Angel Reese films, and when it says, Angel Ree Part 36, it shows Angel Ree attempting another layup. She misses a lot, and it's the funniest, I swear, buddy. And guy, this is my whole thing. She simply appears to be as clumsy as a newborn giraffe. Come on, I mean it. Others conjecture regarding an infinite weight in the hopes that the pain of those never-ending low-light clips will lessen with time and a few viral diversions. The most gloomy voices are questioning whether Reebok is secretly looking for a complete departure strategy. Indeed, the company has made a public pledge to strengthen its commitment. However, no firm can overlook the financial calamity of associating its name with persistent athletic failure in the real world. Even the most patient investors eventually begin to insist on seeing the numbers. Furthermore, the return on investment from viral fails doesn't exactly shout long-term expansion. What we're witnessing with Angel Ree is unprecedented in contemporary sports marketing. Missing shots is the signature move of a signature athlete that ought to be automated. Reebok's risk on her potential is now becoming a lesson in how endorsements fail when expectations are much higher than performance. Furthermore, the questions facing Reebok are becoming increasingly pressing as the Chicago skyline continues to decline into basketball irrelevance and Reese continues to provide inadvertent comedic gold. When the brand spokesperson consistently fails to deliver where it matters, how do you sell shoes? When performance is actively declining, how do you sell it? How can a person whose only contribution to the game is to make blooper reels become the face of a long-lasting sports brand? Is so awful that when she and Caitlin Clark were intended to compete against one another the other week, but Caitlin Clark's injury caused ticket sales to drop from $100 to just $5. She wasn't playing because of a quad ailment. Guess what then? No one was interested in watching. For those who are unfamiliar with Caitlin Clark, she is the WNBA's GOAT and the main attraction. You're not being watched, Angel Reese. Nobody is observing you. The only thing I want to watch are all of the TikTok videos of you utterly missing every single one of those 2026 launch dates. Additionally, each clanked layup, we're getting closer to what might end up being the most agonizingly embarrassing sneaker release in sports history thanks to this ongoing catastrophe and the viral moment of hoops, bewilderment, and every loss in the heavens. Reebok is facing a nightmare they can't escape with glitzy advertisements and influencer posts as the 2026 release date approaches like a shot clock approaching its expiration. What should have been a glorious debut is instead a public countdown to disaster as every missed layup, meme, and viral video piles against them. She continues to brick shots into the same net that has entangled the hype machine they constructed for Angel Ree. Additionally, they are not receiving a lifeline from the Chicago Sky season. The connection between Reese's brand and basketball irrelevance grows stronger with each defeat. Supporters aren't no longer discussing her potential. They are publicly wondering how she got this agreement in the first place. Her highlight reels are being treated like late-night comic routines on sports talk shows. Additionally, the joke is consistently the same. It is impossible to teach completing. Or perhaps someone should, and you can. Marketing teams are probably practicing damage control techniques behind closed doors, coming up with ideas on how to change the narrative before launch day becomes a corporate faceplant. Rebranding one's lifestyle is feasible. A lot of famous people co-sign to cover up the performance problems. However, the truth is straightforward. You cannot use a single photo shoot to erase years' worth of low-light footage. Additionally, Ree continues to play the same game while Reebok plays defense, grabbing rebounds, shooting, and somehow missing the shots that ought to come naturally. Bro, this was a huge disgrace. Keep in mind that he is a professional basketball player. Professional basketball player. Took home a national title. They're like a calling card that lingers. She also defeated Caitlin Clark. Keep it in mind. Take a look. Instead of selling sneakers, the viral content continues to sell doubt. Every chuckle, sardonic tweet, and slowdown. Any remaining performance credibility is eroded by blooper edits. The introduction of the Angel Reese signature shoe might become the case study in sports marketing textbooks for how hype without substance can become a brand's worst nightmare if things continue to go in this direction. It will not only be an unpleasant launch. The culture-shifting star was what Reebok desired. They may even receive one. She is changing the culture of professional basketball shame, which is the only issue. The story of Angel Reese has now expanded to encompass far more than just one player, one team, or even one shoe contract. The fact that the sports world may quickly turn against you when the numbers don't add up is a real-life reminder. What began as an audacious, everyone can see the slow-motion PR disaster that has become attention-grabbing signing, but nobody appears to be able to stop it. The identical question now appears in every plot point involving Reese. Is this merely about clicking, or is it still about potential? Supporters of her cling to the hope that she can solve the problem. However, the mounting evidence on game footage presents a different picture. One of a player whose fame has exceeded her output and whose success no longer drives her as much as failure does. The missed layups aren't the only issue facing Reebok. It's because her missed layups have come to define her. You can alter, recast her image, use marketing angles, and flood the internet with dazzling campaign ads. But ultimately, the product you're selling is linked to what occurs on the court. Her outstanding June performances. Her selection as an all-star was earned. However, these are more than a few poor plays. Bloopers aren't what these are. These are not isolated incidents. This is typical. The same thing occurred last week when the Minnesota Linkers kicked the Chicago Bravado in the ass. You don't need my persuasion that Angel Reese has no bearing on victory. Take a look at her record. Check out her WNBA resume. The court is currently experiencing a constant flow of material for blooper compilations. The story is further solidified by the Chicago Sky season. The link between brand and basketball disaster is growing stronger every week as the team continues to lose relevance and Reese continues to deliver hilarious unintended jokes. Even those who are neutral and have no interest in Reese or the Sky are watching to see if the most recent viral video will surpass the previous one. And that's the actual risk. The basis for a successful endorsement contract is gone once the audience is drawn to the humor rather than the game. There is more to the 2026 debut than just a sneaker release. No longer. A public referendum on whether or not a brand can survive a storm of in-court humiliation on the basis of hype is taking shape. Unless Angel Reese does a complete makeover in a single day. That's about as probable as her making her next wide-open layup. Let's face it, given her past performance. Reebok might soon find itself forced to promote a product that no one associates with success. What began as a daring risk is now on the verge of turning into the ultimate warning against athlete endorsements in the age of social media. Because this is the harsh reality. There are instances when the loudest person is doing so for the wrong reasons. And no celebrity, no fancy advertising campaign. Real, obvious basketball deficiencies cannot be transformed into championship legitimacy by co-signing or unapologetic branding. Whether Reebok will regret this investment is not the question. It's when it becomes the most costly joke in basketball history, or when it transforms into a clean corporate turnaround prior to launch day. Leave a comment below if you have any views on this crazy tale. To ensure you don't miss the next one, use the like button, tell your friends about it, and remember to subscribe. See you at the next.